The sky above Vertex Capital's glass tower looked like a bruise waiting to happen. 50 shades of gray pressing down on the city like the sky had something to say and no one was ready to hear it. Nyla Pierce stood on the private skybridge connecting the 38th floor conference wing to the main building. She had no business being there. Interns did not belong on the skybridge. Everyone knew that. She knew that. She was there anyway because the break room smelled like burnt ambition and she needed 5 seconds of fake freedom. She was wearing an oversized vintage wash denim jacket over a fitted forest green ribbed tank, high-waist black straight-leg trousers, and white platform Nikes that were starting to look lived in. Her locks were pulled into a loose high bun with 2 gold pins holding everything in place. Small pearl studs in her ears. A beaded bracelet on her left wrist that her little sister made her last birthday. She looked creative. Unbothered. Like she belonged in an art gallery, not a finance building chasing spreadsheets for a man who did not know her name. 6 weeks in. Junior research associate. The kind of role that was basically invisible until something broke. Her phone buzzed in her jacket pocket. She already knew before she looked. That specific dread that lives in your chest when the universe is about to charge you for something. The text was from her younger sister Amara. 4 words. Nyla, I need bail. The skybridge glass fogged slightly where she pressed her forehead against it. The city below looked tiny. Manageable. Nothing about her life felt manageable right now. She needed to leave. Like, immediately. Not after her afternoon reporting block. Not after the 4 p.m. sync. Right now. The problem was the man standing at the far end of the skybridge. Reese Calloway. He was leaning against the railing like he owned the building, which, technically, he partially did. He was 31, ran the entire investment division, and had exactly the kind of face that made people nervous when he looked directly at them. Sharp features. Unreadable expression. Dark-fitted crewneck sweater in slate blue, tailored black trousers with a slight taper, clean white sneakers that probably cost more than Nyla's rent. A single silver ring on his right hand. No tie. No ego on display. Just quiet authority that sat in the room before he did. People said he was intimidating. He was also her only way back inside. He turned when he heard her footsteps. He did not look surprised to see her. He did not look much of anything. You are not cleared for this floor, he said. Calm. Factual. I know. Nyla stopped walking. I got turned around. He looked at her for exactly 3 seconds. Your jaw is doing something, he said. She blinked. What? When people lie, their jaw tightens. Yours just did. Nyla said nothing. Reese pushed off the railing and slid his hands into his pockets. He took 3 steps toward her and stopped. Not close enough to be inappropriate. Just close enough that she could not pretend he was not paying attention. What is actually going on, he said. Not a question. A door he was opening. Nyla stared at him. This was the first full sentence Reese Calloway had ever said to her in 6 weeks. Family situation, she said carefully. I need to leave early. I know it is a bad look. I will make up every hour, I promise. He tilted his head. How serious? She held up her phone. She did not show him the text. Just held it. He read something in her face that she had not said out loud. Go, he said. Nyla went very still. Seriously? I do not repeat myself. She almost moved. Almost. What do you want in return? Something shifted in his expression. Not quite a smile. Not quite, not one. Come back, he said. We will figure the rest out then. He stepped aside. Nyla walked past him, heart doing something loud in her chest. She did not know what she had just agreed to. She knew she was going to find out. The precinct smelled like old coffee and bad decisions. Nyla sat in a plastic chair outside the holding area, still in her work clothes, her platform Nikes squeaking slightly on the linoleum floor every time she shifted. The beaded bracelet on her wrist felt tighter than usual. She kept touching it. Amara came out 40 minutes later. 19. Wearing a crinkled mustard crop hoodie, baggy gray sweatpants, and one sneaker because the other had apparently gone missing somewhere between the altercation and the arrest. Her braids were half out of their style. She had the specific walk of someone who had been crying and was furious at themselves for it. Nyla stood up. "Before you say anything," Amara started. "I am not saying anything. You have your face on." "I do not have a face." "Nyla." "Amara." They stared at each other in that specific way that sisters do when they have too much history to fight properly in public. Nyla put her arm around her sister's shoulders and walked her out of the building without a single word. That was worse than yelling, and they both knew it. Outside on the steps, the night air was cool and tasted like rain that had not committed yet. "It was Dominic," Amara said finally. "He said he was going to take the camera equipment I borrowed from school. The stuff for my film project. I owe him money I did not have, so I got in his face, and then his roommate called the police and it just..." She stopped. "How much?" Nyla said. 300. Nyla closed her eyes for exactly 2 seconds. $300. The exact amount she had been putting aside for her graphic design course. The one thing she was doing for herself. The one small, selfish, beautiful thing. "Okay," she said. "Nyla, I am so sorry. I will pay you back. I swear I will pick up extra shifts at the cafe." "Okay." "Stop saying okay like that." "Like what?" "Like you are holding something back." Nyla looked at her sister. Amara had their mother's eyes. Every time Nyla looked at her, she felt the weight of everything she was trying to hold up. "I am not holding anything back," she said. "I am just tired. Let's go home." She paid Dominic that night. Standing in a parking lot at 11 p.m. while her Venmo balance did something that made her stomach hurt. She went back to work the next morning on 3.5 hours of sleep. She was wearing a rust-orange long-sleeve fitted tee under an open beige linen overshirt, wide-leg black trousers, and beat-up tan loafers. Her locks were down today, loose around her face, gold pins traded out for a simple thin headband. She looked intentional. Put together. Nobody at work would know she had been standing in a parking lot paying a stranger's debt at midnight. She pushed through the glass doors of Vertex Capital. Reese Calloway was waiting by the elevator. Not obviously. He was looking at his phone. But he clocked her the second she walked in. She could feel it. "My office," he said, without looking up. 10 minutes. Nyla breathed. Whatever favor she owed him, it was about to have a face. She stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. And from somewhere behind her she heard a voice she recognized. Marcus Webb. Senior analyst. The guy who had been trying to get her fired since week 2. On his phone. Voice low but not low enough. "Yeah, she just walked in. I sent you what I found on her application. If they see the gap year she hid, she is out by Friday." The elevator doors closed before she could move. Her stomach dropped 40 floors. Someone was already trying to take everything she had. And she was walking into a meeting with the one man who could either save her or finish the job. Reese Calloway's office did not look like a power move. That was the actual power move. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A desk that was clean in a way that said discipline, not emptiness. One framed photo turned face down. Nyla noticed that immediately. She noticed everything when she was nervous. Reese was standing at the window with his back to her when she walked in. Still in the slate blue sweater from yesterday. No, wait. Different one. Almost identical. The man apparently had a uniform and was completely unbothered about it. Sit, he said. She sat. He turned. He had a file folder in his hand. He set it on the desk between them without opening it. Nyla stared at it. Your application lists continuous enrollment through your undergrad, he said. She said nothing. There is an 18-month gap that is not on your resume, he continued. Between your sophomore and junior year. Her jaw was definitely doing the thing. I was dealing with a family situation, she said carefully. Your mother, he said. Nyla went very still. How do you know that? I did not. Until just now. He sat down across from her. That was a guess. The way you talked about family on the skybridge. The way you handled yesterday without falling apart. You have been carrying something heavy for a long time. Nyla looked at him for a long moment. You are not what I expected, she said. What did you expect? Honestly? You to be using that folder as a weapon. Something moved across his face. I am not interested in weapons. I am interested in whether you are worth the access I am about to give you. What access? He opened the folder. Inside was a project brief. A full one. Not an intern packet. A real one. Something that people 4 levels above her would be fighting over. The Meridian account, he said. It is a private infrastructure fund. The analysis has stalled because my last 3 analysts kept treating the data like a puzzle instead of a story. I need someone who sees patterns differently. Nyla looked up from the brief. Why me? Because in 6 weeks you have flagged 3 data inconsistencies that everyone above you missed. You did not report them because you did not trust the system yet. But I saw the flags. He leaned back. You see things. I need someone who sees things. Nyla sat with that for 3 seconds. And the gap year, she said. Not my business unless you make it relevant. What about Marcus Webb? A pause. Barely 1 beat long. But she caught it. What about him, Reese said, and his voice was just slightly different. He knows about the gap. He is already moving. Reese was quiet for a moment. He looked out the window. Something in his expression went somewhere private. I will handle Marcus, he said. How? That is not something you need to know right now. Nyla leaned forward. See, that answer would be fine coming from anyone else. But you just told me you want me to trust you with a senior level account after 6 weeks. So I need a little more than that is not something you need to know right now. Reese looked at her. For the first time, he looked like something had caught him off guard. Marcus Webb submitted a recommendation letter for this role, he said slowly. A letter that helped get you hired. Nyla blinked. He recommended me. Yes. Then why is he trying to get me fired? Reese set his hands flat on the desk. His silver ring caught the light. Because he recommended you thinking you would fail, he said. You were supposed to be his favor. His controlled variable. Someone he brought in to make himself look generous while she quietly washed out. The room felt smaller suddenly. He did not expect you to be good, Reese said. Nyla stared at the project brief. All of it rearranged in her head. 6 weeks of wondering why Marcus always looked slightly annoyed when she did something right. 6 weeks of small cuts she could not explain. Okay, she said quietly. Okay, what? Okay, I will take the account. Reese nodded once. There is one more thing, he said. She waited. The investor summit next week. I need a research lead on site. Someone who can read a room and adjust in real time. He paused. That would be you. Nyla looked at him. An intern. A research associate, he corrected. There is a difference. You keep forgetting that. She almost smiled. Almost. What happens if I mess it up? You will not. You do not know that. No, he said. But I am choosing to act like I do. That is different from knowing. Something about that sentence landed somewhere it was not supposed to. Nyla picked up the project brief. She stood to leave. Reese. He looked up. She almost never used first names at work. She watched him notice that. Why is the photo on your desk face down? The air in the room changed. He did not answer right away. Come back after the summit, he said. Ask me again then. She left. She did not know that Marcus Webb had already sent the file to the board. She did not know that Reese knew too. And she did not know that Reese was about to do something that would cost him more than she could currently imagine. The investor summit was held at a private event space on the waterfront. All glass and low lighting and the kind of silence that money buys. Nyla was wearing a sleek-fitted black turtleneck tucked into high-waist wide-leg ivory trousers, with pointed black mules and her locks pulled into a sculptural updo held by a single gold clip. She wore her pearl studs. No bracelet. She needed her hands to feel steady. She looked like she belonged there. She also felt like a total fraud, which was very much her problem. The first 2 hours were fine. She circulated. She read the room the way Reese had asked. She flagged 3 moments where investor sentiment shifted in the presentation and messaged them to his phone in real time. He responded to each one with a single word. Noted. Good. Right. That last one made her exhale for the first time all night. At hour 3, she stepped into the side corridor for water and overheard a conversation that stopped her cold. 2 board members. Both older. Both speaking in the relaxed tone of people who were not expecting to be heard. The Callaway situation is unfortunate. He had to know submitting a junior associate for this account would raise questions. Oh, he knew. That is the point. He burned his own capital protecting her application discrepancy. Apparently the gap year created a compliance flag that could have ended her employment. He signed off personally. Put his name on it. A pause. His name? His signature on the compliance clearance. If it goes sideways, it does not land on her. He torpedoed himself for an intern. Research associate. Apparently he is very specific about that. Nyla stood completely still in the corridor. The water in her hand was cold. He had not just handled Marcus. He had taken the fall personally. His signature on a compliance document meant that if anything with her application was ever reviewed, it came back to him. Not her. Him. He had handed her a shield and said nothing. She went back into the room. She found him near the far window, talking to a senior partner, looking like absolutely nothing in the world was wrong. Slate gray blazer over a fitted black turtleneck, the same silver ring, dark trousers. Effortlessly composed. Like he had not just quietly dismantled his own safety net for someone who had worked for him for 6 weeks. She waited until the partner moved away. Why, she said. He looked at her. Calm. Unsurprised. You heard something, he said. Why did you put your name on the compliance document? Because it was the right call. That is not an answer. It is the only one I have right now. Nyla stared at him. Reese. You could lose your position over this. You could be reviewed. You burned your credibility. I know what I did. Then why? He looked out the window at the water. The city lights fractured across the surface like something broken into beautiful pieces. Because you remind me of someone, he said. Quiet. Not looking at her. She waited. My sister, he said. She was brilliant. Carrying too much. No one saw it until it was too late. He stopped. I see it in you. Every day. I am not going to be the system that fails you the way she was failed. The room was loud around them. Clinking glasses. Polished conversation. Nyla felt the entire night press down on her chest. The photo on your desk, she said softly. He nodded. Once. I am so sorry, she said. Do not apologize for other people's failures. He finally looked at her. Just do not waste what you have. That is all I am asking. She almost said something real. Something that had been building for weeks in the space between professional and personal. And then her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Tell Calloway that the board already has the compliance flag. His signature does not save you. It just means you both go down. Unless you walk away from the account tonight. Leave the summit. And do not come back. Nyla read it twice. Her blood went cold. Marcus. She looked up at Reese. He was already reading something on his own phone. His expression had gone very still. He looked at her. They got to you too, he said. Not a question. Yes. What are you going to do? Nyla looked around the room. The glass walls. The city outside. The life she had been building brick by careful brick. I do not know yet, she said. But she already did. And it was going to cost her everything she had fought to get here. Nyla did not leave the summit. She went to the podium. Not because she was asked to. Not because it was on the program. She walked up to the event coordinator, told her there was a supplementary research brief that needed to be addressed before the final investor remarks, and the coordinator, confused but professional, stepped aside. The room went quiet in that slow-rolling way rooms do when something unexpected happens and no one is sure if they should be concerned yet. Nyla stood at the front of the room in her ivory trousers and her black turtleneck and her gold clip holding everything in place. She pulled up the Meridian account data on the presentation screen. And she talked. Not from notes. From memory. From 6 weeks of seeing patterns that no one else had stopped long enough to see. She walked the room through 3 years of infrastructure data and showed them, clearly, simply, undeniably, exactly where the fund was being misdirected and who had been benefiting from the confusion. The misdirection pointed directly at Marcus Webb's consulting subsidiary. A company no one in this room had been told he owned. By the time she finished, the room was the specific kind of silent that means something just changed and everyone is still catching up to it. She stepped back from the podium. Her hands were shaking slightly. She held them still. She looked at Reese. He was standing exactly where she had left him. Silver ring. Unreadable face. Except his eyes were doing something. He looked like he was watching something he had not expected. He looked like he was proud. Marcus stood up from his seat across the room. His face was doing several things at once. This is completely inappropriate, he said. She is an intern presenting unsolicited data at a private investor summit. Whatever she has just shown you is unverified and frankly a liability. Research associate, Reese said from across the room. Calm. Carrying. Marcus turned. Excuse me. She is a research associate. You keep getting that wrong. Reese walked slowly toward the front of the room. And the data is verified. I verified it myself this morning when I traced the compliance flag you anonymously submitted to the board back to its source. He stopped. Which was your own email account. Routed through a proxy. Not a very sophisticated one. The room held its breath. Marcus looked at Nyla. You set me up, he said. You set yourself up, she said. I just showed everyone where you were standing. It took another 2 hours for everything to formally unravel. The board asked Marcus to step out. Then they asked him not to come back. The compliance document with Reese's signature was reviewed and cleared. A junior research associate with an 18-month gap year was officially assigned to the Meridian account. By midnight the waterfront event space was almost empty. Nyla sat on the low steps outside the venue, her mules off, her feet on the cool stone. The city reflected in the water in long blurry lines. She was exhausted in the specific way that only comes after surviving something. Reese sat down next to her. Not close. Not far. Just present. They sat in silence for a while. You could have left, he said eventually. I know. That was a significant risk. I know that too. Why did you stay? She looked at the water. Because someone put their name on a line for me, she said. And I was not about to let that be for nothing. Reese was quiet. Also, she said. I am really tired of running. He looked at her then. Actually looked. Not the professional 3-second read. Something longer. Something that did not have a category yet. The photo on your desk, she said softly. What was her name? Cleo, he said. She would have been 24 this year. Nyla nodded. She did not say she was sorry again. She had learned from him. You do not apologize for other people's failures. You just stay. I start on Meridian Monday, she said. You do. You going to make my life difficult. A pause. Something that was almost a smile. Probably, he said. She laughed. Short and real. It surprised both of them. The city stretched out ahead of them. Enormous and indifferent and full of everything still unclaimed. Nyla thought about Amara asleep at home. About the graphic design course she would resave for. About the bracelet she had left at home tonight because she needed her hands to feel steady. She had walked into this building 6 weeks ago invisible. She was not invisible anymore. Next to her, Reese Calloway sat with his silver ring catching the reflection of the water and said nothing. He did not need to. Some things do not need words to be permanent. The end.